How far are you willing to go? The drive, the sweat, the blood, the tears, your determination through the pain and all the suffering, people overlooking you, telling you that you're not good enough. You have to believe that you're great. And with you believing that you're great, anything you want to do, you can achieve. No one can stop you. Only you can stop yourself. Keep driving. Keep uplifting yourself. Keep going. Keep going. Nothing, and no one can stop you. That goal you want, you can achieve it. How you inspire people is going to be up to you. Keep going. Never give up. Never give up. Keep going.
What's going on? What's going on? It's your boy. And once again, we here on 910 Sports TV. First and foremost, I want to thank opportunity on this great platform. First, I want to introduce my man to I think it's to my right. Yeah, to my right over here on my side. You know what I'm saying? He probably like the mayor or the governor or something or the congressman or whatever you want to call it of Virginia. You know what I'm saying? We got Coach Lamont T. Goins. How you doing, brother?
Well, listen, Icon. First of all, I'm glad we are not on the outside doing the show tonight. It's good to be on the inside because in the Commonwealth of Virginia, if you can spell cold, it is COLD. But again, just happy to be on and just looking forward for another great show.
Okay, and then also I got my right hand man, you know what I'm saying, Cowboys biggest fan, you know what I'm saying, the ambassador out there in South Carolina. I got my brother Jacob the Great. What's going on, brother?
What's going on, man? Glad to be in the land of the living, man. Another day to get it right.
Now you sound a little bit more enthusiastic than that, man. You don't say God's the land of the living and all that. You gotta be have a little bit more bass in your voice. You supposed to be Barry White Jr. You over here sound like Barry White the Fourth.
Hey, man. Hey, man, what you not gonna do is cause you got your beard shaped up, you ain't gonna show out. You ain't gonna show out.
All right, so today we got a coach on here. We got another legend from South Carolina. Oh Lord, I'm at the house, y'all, and I'm trying to adjust because I used to be on the road. I'm in this seat or whatever, and it still got me sliding all over the place. But anyway, we got another legendary coach from South Carolina. He got so many accomplishments that I just feel extra privileged. So I'm gonna let this man introduce himself to the platform. Go ahead, coach. Introduce yourself, please.
Oh yeah, I'm an old school coach. A long time ago, coached at Johnsonville, Latta, Green Sea Floyds, some parts of Aynor, and my name's Doug Hinson.
Okay, Mr. Henson, Coach Henson. So just tell people a little bit of history about where your kind of life started, like anywhere youth football, what sports that you played as a youth, and then what got you to the point where where you started your legendary coaching career.
Well, I first started in Tabor City, North Carolina, and
Ooh, oh yeah.
I played for a guy named Coach Jack Holly and Frank Jernigan, and I played all sports. I played football, basketball, baseball. Anything that had to do with a ball, I wanted to do. So I started there, then moved to a little school called Aynor. Played all three sports there. Then I went on out of Aynor, and I got a scholarship to play at NC State. Played there for 2 years. Transferred to a small school named Presbyterian College. Played there for the other 3 years, and then got into coaching. And my first coaching debut was with Marty Williams in 1988 in Johnsonville, South Carolina. And then Marty moved on, and they called me in one day and wanted to know if I wanted to be the head coach. And I didn't know if I wanted to do that at 28, but I took the job and stayed there for 10 years, then moved to Latta. Had some of your boys at Latta played for me, Bobby and Chris Page and Raymond Felton. And had all that crowd in Atlanta. And then I left there and went to Green Sea Floyds back in Horry County. Stayed there for 13, 14 years, and I ended up my career being an AD at Aynor. So then we moved up here, and I retired in near Boone, North Carolina, and it is cold, and we got about 6 inches or 7 inches of snow out there, so it is cold. It's supposed to be down, I think, to about 12 tonight.
So I'm going to ask you this, Coach, because I think now I want to say over the 7 years, almost 7 years we've been doing this show, you've probably brought one of the biggest names on here as far as coaching. You named the legendary great Raymond Felton. You know what I'm saying? So the three of us on here, me, Jacob, and Coach Goins, we all are huge Carolina fans. So before we kind of move on, I had to say, let me stop him right there, because I really want to know, what was Raymond Felton like in high school, and did you see the career, or did you kind of project what you seen back then? Can you hear me?
I've lost you. I can't.
Okay, I was saying, can you hear me now? Can y'all hear me?
I got
Can
you.
anybody hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. Did you hear? Oh, okay. We lost him for a second.
Lost the feed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
yeah.
yeah.
Hold on, Archon. I
Huh?
can tell you what Raymond Felton was like. He from
Mm-hmm.
South Carolina, up from South Carolina. Raymond
Okay.
Raymond Felton was like anybody he played against, whether it was rec ball, whether it was high school ball, or whether it was, invitational tournaments. I remember seeing Raymond Felton in Clinton, South Carolina, at an invitational tournament during summertime, and he had about 40, about 27 or 6, and didn't even take a quarter. That's what he was like.
Okay. So I see. Can you hear us now, Coach Hinson?
Yeah, I got you back.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I was asking you because you probably brought one of the most legendary names on the show since we've been doing this, and Raymond Felton. Because I even remember when he first got to Carolina, because all three of us were big Tar Heel fans. And I remember it was a game he had. He was having so many assists and doing so much on the court. I forgot who the announcer was. They'd be like in Raymond we trust. You know what I'm saying, or whatever. I just remember making that statement. You know what I'm saying, or whatever. So what was Raymond felt like in high school, and did you see what he ended up being at Carolina and going into the NBA?
Well, Raymond played 2 years for me in football. He was the quarterback. We ran the option, and Raymond was just type of athlete. He could do anything. But what people didn't see was the Sundays he went up and worked just with his left hand for 2 and 3 hours, and what he put into it. But he had two of the best parents that I thought that you could ever have, that kept him straight, kept him on track. So Raymond he was just an athlete. And you remember how the old gym in Atlanta, how little it was. And we would have to, if he was playing or we had a home game, we would have to close the doors like at 5 o'clock for a 7 o'clock game for him, because it would be full. We only had so many. And then they would call me and ask me where they could land the plane. Of course, the closest place they could land any kind of plane was in Florence for us back then. So Raymond, he was an exceptional person too, and had great parents. I loved his parents. But I remember taking him when he was player of the game, 9th grade, not knowing what he's going to do, but carrying him up there to Dillon. He'd be player of the game. And of course, I bought the player of games. Like on Monday night, I bought him steak in Dillon. So we would carry him up there, drop him off. And but his daddy and his mother kept him grounded, and he was just an exceptional person.
So before I pass it on to Coach Goins, just kind of explain to us a little bit. You said about having a 2-parent home and having 2 parents. Just kind of explain how important, when you do have those kids that have that complete household with the 2 parents, just kind of explain how important that is in a home.
Well, that's very important, because his daddy and his mom both of them were very interested in what he did and his grades, and they were everything that he participated in, and they would go to practice, or his daddy would, and sit there and watch him practice, and he looked up to his parents, and I think his parents kept him from spending all of his money, realizing that instead of buying two of anything, you should buy one. And his parents they were there all the time, and they were interested, and they showed him love. Everybody wants to be loved. Everybody wants to be a part of something. And that's where Raymond's identity came from his daddy. He really looked up to his daddy and his mama, but his daddy he looked up to. So, and that's important, because I coached a lot of kids that didn't have a daddy. I coached one kid one time. His mother got killed. He stayed with his mother. She got killed, and he didn't have a suit to wear to the funeral. So we went and bought him a suit. And you see kids like that, and you just wonder, And hopefully, I've lost contact with him, but hopefully he ended up doing something with his life.
Okay. Go ahead, Coach Goins.
Well, first of all, Coach, just congratulations on just a stellar career. Jacob is he's the guy behind the scenes and on the scenes that gets us all the bios. But just reading down through in the lives that you've touched and the story you just shared with in reference to Raymond Felton, and also the young man that lost his life. So just kudos for everything that you've done for these young men over the years, not just the famous players, but even the guys that may have been on the team and not getting a lot of playing time. So just congratulations and thank you so much. As a former coach myself, I understand the time and grade, the going in your own pocket. And taking care of these young men. So kudos to you on that. So here's my question. So as you look back on your entire career and coaching some of the famous players and having the success that you would have, tell our viewing audience what the importance of that work-life balance, your home life, your coaching, if you had to kind of put it into your own words, what is that like to make sure that you have that work-life balance and stay even keeled?
Well, humility is a lot of coaching. And I used to tell the players that you have to win with humility and you have to lose with humility. And being grounded, knowing where your blessings come from is a big thing. We worked awfully hard, and we didn't have much of when we got home, we didn't have much of I wouldn't say a family life. We had a family, but our players were our family most of the time. And but it was important. Back then, we couldn't leave it alone. We'd watch film on, I chased down film on Saturday. We watched it on Sunday, and then we prepared the players on Monday through Thursday. And you say I've accomplished a lot. It wasn't me who accomplished it. It was the players that bought in, and I had some fantastic assistant coaches, and all the kudos go to them and the players for buying into what the team concept is, and that was important, back then, because you wasn't looking at you were taking one game at a time. And that's what we used to tell them. We used to tell them, you have 15 games back then. The first 5 were scrimmage games. Next 5, you were playing for a position to play in the playoffs. Then the following 5, you're playing for a state championship. And that's what we tried to. We didn't try to look down the road. We tried to keep everything in front of us. And it just worked out that we had some success, but the success came because of the great coaches we had and the players that bought in.
Excellent. Appreciate that. So, hey, Jacob, I see you posting up in the paint, man. Let me go ahead and dump it down to you.
All right, Coach. Good to have you, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Now, Coach, from the time you started coaching up until your, retirement, what has been the most challenging thing for you as a coach and as a mentor?
Um, I think the most challenging thing was to get everybody on the same wavelength while I was coaching. Um, to get them to buy in, to get them to realize that the team was above everything as far as what they wanted to do. The team was the most important thing before individual accolades or any of that stuff. And some people bought, or a lot of them bought into it. Some didn't, and then they came back and they said, I wish I'd have bought into like what you were trying to teach us. But that's the biggest thing. That was the biggest challenge. When I hung it up and I retired, I love football. I love sports, but I love to just watch the kids play. I don't like all the armchair quarterbacks in the stands. I get as far away from them as I can, and because they don't understand.
Yep.
Most of those people, all they look at is the wins and losses. They don't look at where a team starts and where a team ends up, and all the hard work that goes into it. And they don't understand those kids don't want to lose no more than anybody. They want to win. So that's the hardest thing for me to deal with now that I'm retired. There's a team up here that we go to watch, is High Brighton Panthers, and we go and watch them on Friday nights. And I get up in the very top of the stands where nobody can get around me, and I just like to watch football. So, but the challenging thing was getting everybody on the same page, because there's a lot of wheels that you've got to get turning all on the same time, same pace.
Okay, coach. So a good friend of mine, Randy Page, he wants you to talk about that sensational 1993 team.
Wants to talk about what now?
The team that you coached in 1993.
Oh, 1993. Okay. We had 24 players. And that's when I say players, we had 24 players. There were not 24 bodies. We started out, we had a quarterback named Antoine Edie, a.k.a. Twix. And here's what made us back then. Those kids would work from 7 o'clock to 6 o'clock in a tobacco field, jump out the back of a truck, run in so they wouldn't be late at 6:45 because we took the field at 7. And then they would practice from 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock every night, and they would do it all over again. We practiced one time, 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock. That was our time back then. And we beat people early because we were in better shape than they were, just simply because they were used to the heat. They were used to trying to find it in the fourth quarter. Anyway, we didn't realize we were going to be as good. We took one game at a time. I think if I recall, we lost to Myrtle Beach about the fourth or fifth game. And then we went on and we started gelling. We actually started gelling when we beat Lakeview for the second time. I think it was in the second or third round of the playoffs. And that's when we were really playing good football. And then, of course, we played Pleasant Hill in the lower state championship. And then we played Buford in the state championship. And, of course, we ended up winning it. And but those kids, I think that year we had three kids that were over 1,000 yards in rushing.
Wow.
But we beat people too on defense. They didn't. A lot of people didn't score a lot of points on us back then. So they had a good defensive coordinator. We had one guy they called Chief, and he was one of our coaches, and he had a knack of knowing where to put people to get the best out of them, what position they needed to play. He could look at you and say, well, you're outside linebacker, you're inside linebacker. And that's what made us. And they were tough kids.
Well, coach, I know they was tough because in that heat in a tobacco field, and then playing football and giving it your all. So the body absorbed to that vitamin D. So they was already ahead of the curveball when they play other teams. Cause them kids ain't know nothing about what they was doing to make money. You know what I mean? And then coming to play for you and play for the school, that's a whole different breed, man. That's called other kids need somebody to help them because that's that's beast mode.
Yeah. Well, we had kids too that their grandmamas, and back then we had a lot of kids didn't have a daddy, and they went to their grandmama. And if I
Mm.
had a problem with one of the kids, all I had to do was pick the phone up and talk to grandmama.
Mm.
And grandmama would make sure they were where they were supposed to be. And if we had a kid to miss practice, I'd call grandmama, and grandmama would go find him, bring him, and say, "Hey, do what you got to do. And if he ever misses again, you call me again." And that helped us too. But we didn't have a lot of kids miss practice. That's not what I'm talking about. Everybody knew. It's kind of like I had a superintendent one time that told me, said, people don't care what you know until they know that you care. And that was important because those kids knew we loved them. We loved them because of who they were, not what they could do, but who they were and what dedication and desire and determination they had.
Mm.
You know, that's
All right, I come back to you, man.
okay. Okay, we had lost you there. So, Coach, explain. So, we're gonna go back, move further ahead, and we're gonna come back. So,
Okay.
when you finally decided to retire, what was the circumstances behind it? Was it because you got tired of the rules being changed and the changing? I know a lot of the older coaches, when you seen the Coach Cage and you seen the Nick Sabans and you seen a lot of these guys retire because they didn't want to deal with the new rules and the NILs and all that kind of stuff. So what was the kind of circumstances behind you retiring, if you can get into that a little bit?
Well, back then when I was in coaching, I've been retired, I think 7 or 8 years. But back then, they had something called Terry, and you could go on Terry, and you could, if you signed up for Terry, they took your retirement and put it in an IRA for you, but you only had 5 years. And once that 5 years was up, you had to retire. It wasn't whether you wanted to or not. But I was ready to retire because I'll give you some of the guys that were helping me back then are ADs now. When I was coaching an AD, if you didn't live in your attendance area, you were ineligible. If you moved in, you had, if your parents made a bona fide change of residence, you were automatically eligible. But if you just wanted to go one school to the other, you couldn't do that. You'd have to sit out a year. And now they've got different rules. There's no loyalty. It's kind of like the NIL in college. A kid now, if I'm not mistaken, in South Carolina, a kid now can play for 2 or 3 teams in his career without moving if he finds transportation. And that wasn't the case back then. There's no loyalty, no, how you make a team or get a team built when you having people to transfer all the time. Just kind of like Nick Saban, there's no loyalty there. You wonder why you're doing it. But I don't think I could coach now like we did back then because, the kids back then, if they didn't play, it was their fault. Now, if they don't play, it's the coach's fault.
Ooh.
Mm. Well, let me ask you this, Coach. What was your most overachieving team? Meaning, what was the team that you went in? Because I say this to all the coaches. As a coach, it's just like with your kids. Your bad kids, your good kids. So just like with your team, you go in, you think, oh man, we might be average this year. We might only win 7 games. but then you exceed expectations that year as far as your record and how far you got in the tournament. So what year and what team was that?
The most surprising team was 1994. We had won a state championship and we had lost, I think, close to 20 seniors. And coming back, we had a new center, a new quarterback, a new fullback, and we went and we played Green Sea Floyds, and we fumbled the ball. I think it was 12 times, and we lost. And then I decided, well, we were trying to do too much. Well, we played Lakeview the next week, and we cut down on our play list. And I think we only ran 6 or 7 plays. And Lakeview beat us, I think it was 13-6. And then the following week, we had Myrtle Beach coming in. And we beat Myrtle Beach that year 14-13. And then we went on, we started gaining ground. But our best coaching, I think, was done that year because we ended up 7-4. But we ended up with a team that after 7-4, they went in 95, they were undefeated. They lost in the third round. 96, they were undefeated, lost in the state championship. So those kids, the 2 years following 1994 were, what was it, 20-2? So
Wow.
in 94 is the most, I mean, that was the team that really showed a lot of promise after they got started.
Okay. Now, before I pass it over to Coach Goins, I got to ask, Coach, what's that team that you like? Hold on, we had everything, and we dropped the ball. You know what I'm saying? Like, what team was that?
We had a team in the following year in 1995, and we were undefeated. We were ranked number 1. We were playing Timminsville in the third round of the playoffs, and we were fixing to take the field. It was probably, we usually took the field back then at 7:10 because there was an 8 o'clock kickoff back then. Now I think it's 7:30, but back then it was 8 o'clock. And at 7:05, we had a knock on the door, and we had an all-state center that year. And his daddy was getting ready, and he fell dead. And they came and got him, and we had to put a backup in there. Where the backup did an excellent job, but the problem was, do you tell the kids what happened? Because all of them's going to be wondering what happened to Ryan. And that was a close-knit group, and it just took the wind out of our sails. And I told them what happened before the game. We ended up losing to Timminsville. I think it was 16-8, which they had a great team. Don't get me wrong, but that took the wind out of our sails when those kids were more worried about Ryan than they were worried about winning the game. Which that's fine. I was too. So, but that was the year.
Okay. Go ahead, Coach Goins.
All right, so here's where I want to go. Looking again, I'm going back to the bio and just coach of the year, coach of the region, all state championships. So you have retired, and you've been retired, like you said, 6 or 7 years. Do you find yourself some days just kind of walking through your office, looking at, this trophy, that award, and thinking about those teams from the past? Do you spend time doing that at all?
I got a place down in my shop. I got a little workshop down there, and I hung all those pictures of the teams up, and I go and I think about each one of them.
Right.
And I can not the accolades. I'm not looking at that. I look at the teams and wondering where they're at now. I keep up with some of them on Facebook, but wondering, I got one kid that I never thought he was going to do a lot. And he is an oral surgeon.
Wow.
And I'm proud of him.
Wow.
But I have a lot. I have dentists, doctors, oral surgeons. And then we have kids that served in the Army. Some were in Virginia serving in the Army. And I'm just as proud of those as any of them. So I look at those and I just wonder what they're doing now, and how they were and how they turn in to be. I'm proud of the men they turn in to be, and the children they're coaching now, or the children that they have that they're following, playing ball, stuff like that.
Yes, sir. So here's part two of that question. So I'm going to set the stage up. So say you position yourself and you're at a coach's clinic, and everybody that's in the coaching clinic are brand new coaches. What advice from your status, your achievements, what advice would you give the room full of brand new coaches?
Don't think you know everything. Always be willing to learn, because somebody will do it a different way and probably a better way than you thought about.
Wow. Wow. Thank you. Jacob, I see you, brother.
So, coach, I always say that a coach is a friend, a father figure, a pastor, a mentor, and a disciplinary. And so, with all the lessons that you have learned, and with all the blessings you have given others, that's looking up to you, what would you say would be that biggest lesson that has carried you through your coaching career and just through life today?
I think the biggest blessing is having coaches when I was coming up that showed me the right way to do things, and then I had some coaches showed me the wrong way to do things. And then I think having good people around you that have you, they got to know that you got their back, and you got to know that uh, they're backing you. Um, and I think having good people surrounding you, it's kind of like the Indiana coach said. The first thing is there's no I in team, and he was just saying you had to have good people around you that believed in the system in order to achieve
Mm.
and to overachieve. Because when you have good teams, you've got to be just as lucky as you are good, because the first couple of people that you get injured,
Mm.
you can go from being real good to being average. So you got to have luck on your side too, because there's a lot of teams we beat in the past that were probably more talented than we were. And we played in 1998. We played for a state championship, and our main player, his name was Andrew Tompkins, called him Jelly, got hurt, and he was not able to play. So we went from being a pretty good team to not being so good. So you got to be lucky, but at the same time, you got to have good people around you. And sometimes I wish I could go back and change some of the things that I did, as far as trying to teach them, get their attention. Because I had a guy one time tell me, he said, when you're winning and you use profanity, he said, that's motivational talk. But when you're losing and you use profanity, it's called profanity. And I wish I had done a lot of things different now than back then. I thought I had to be tough. I thought I had to be the leader all the time. And when you have good teams, like on Thursday, when we had in 1993 on Thursday, when we took the field, our coaches went and sat on the bench because it was a run through, and our kids knew exactly what to do. And
Wow.
they coached themselves on Thursday. So, and those kids had to show ownership too. You had to trust them, but when you did that, that's sending a message you really trust them. And so, trust is somewhere in there too, that you have to be trustworthy.
And so, coach, when it comes to the mental toughness and players being emotionally disciplined. Um, how was that process for you preparing them for that so that can help build their character as well? Not only as athletes, but as students, as future leaders, and all the above.
Well, we used to have a saying when I was coaching that we were going to make it as tough on them Monday through Thursday as we could, so it would be as easy on Friday as they could possibly have. So I think there's two ways back then that we did it. We did it through the weight room. All of them had to meet so many weight condition standards, and then we went out and we busted their tail for 3 hours Monday through Wednesday. Thursday was about an hour, but we instilled in them the work ethic that we were going to outwork people, and that outworking people you gain success by doing that. And once they saw it, then they bought into it. Once they were beating teams in the fourth quarter and the other teams were tired and they were still getting it. Of course, back then they had to work to get their school clothes and everything else. And they were not playing video games and on the TV all the time. They were working and had grandmamas, requiring them to do chores. And, I remember going and picking up a lot of kids that were doing chores from grandmama, bringing them to practice and then getting them back and talking to grandmamas about how important it was for their kids to be with us because she wouldn't have to worry about where they were. They were with us and they'd be practicing. We'd take care of them. We'd bring them home. So I think you have to gain the trust too through the parents and let them know that you got the best interest that you can for the kid.
Wow.
All right, I come back to you, my brother. Appreciate that, coach.
Okay, well, Coach, I wanted to ask you. So, we all seen what happened to Bo Nix, in that championship game or semifinal game, divisional round. As a coach, when that moment happens to your best player, and especially when you may find out at the end of the game or right before the next game, what goes into preparing your team mentally more than anything to be able to overcome that situation?
Well, we had a rule when I coached. If you miss Mondays, Monday was offensive day. If you miss Monday, you didn't start on Monday. If you miss Tuesday, you didn't start on. I mean, if you miss Monday, you didn't start on offense. If you miss Tuesday, you didn't start on defense. If you miss Wednesday, you didn't play at all.
Wow.
So, what taught them, and this was the lesson we tried to teach them. When you're not there and you're not preparing and getting your team better, then your backup has to step in and he has to show the coaches what he can do. And we always told them it's just as important for the backup to get those reps it is for the ones who were actually starting. So we had kids that actually didn't miss because they were worried about that once somebody stepped up that they were going to lose their job. But and then on a professional level, those guys, I know it's not a Bo Nix, but that guy, he's probably been on a scout team, preparing the team, against the defense that they're going to see or trying to. So, but it is hard, and it's hard to overcome when you have a mental letdown like that. So that's not always possible. But you try to look down the future and see what might happen, So that's
Let me
important.
ask you this, Coach. Out of all the years that you coached, out of all the players you coached, what was the biggest the player that overachieved the most for you that made it all worth it? Like the player that when they came in, they had two left feet or they didn't want to listen or whatever it was about them, and by the time they graduated, they exceeded all your expectations.
This happened in 1993, and this goes right up what you're asking. we had a kid in 1993 that came in. I'm not going to call his name, but he was sitting in the locker room, and he wanted to talk to me. And I got him in the office, and he said, Coach, he said, I don't know if I'm made for this. I think I might quit. And I told him, I said, if you quit this, I said, that's the worst mistake you'll ever make. I said, because the second time you start something and you don't finish it, everything quit becomes easier. So he decided he was going to stick it out. And he didn't play. He wasn't a starter, but he played a lot. And we won the state championship, and it was in Johnsonville. And we walked in, and he was over in the corner, and he was crying. And I went up, and I said, what's wrong? He said, Coach, he said, I'm so glad I didn't quit, because this you can't describe what this feeling is. And that kid stuck it out. And but I had other kids like that too, that they just stuck it out. They wanted to be a part of the team. They wanted to do the best that they could. And we actually talked back then that everybody on the team had a position. If your position wasn't starting, your position was getting somebody better for us to start. And that went right on down to the ball boys, to the water boys, to everybody else. Everybody had their own ownership in our team. So.
Okay. Wow. So let me ask you, before we let you go, I got to ask you this question. What was, I know you're not an award guy, but what was the award that you won, an individual award you won for yourself that probably kind of summed up your career as far as how you looked at yourself and reflected yourself as a coach? What award was that, and what year was it?
Well, it wasn't in 1993.
That was a great year, because y'all done talked about 93 a whole lot. That
was a great year. But that was back when I was young and dumb and didn't know what to do, I guess. I would say that one year we were trying to rebuild Green Sea Floyds, and the coaches voted me as the lower state coach of the year. I think that was it. It was in the 2000s sometime. I think, and I look at those awards. Those awards, those awards represent memories to me, not what I achieved, but the memories I had with the people that were there during that process.
Okay. Well, guys, if anybody had any more questions.
Yeah, I just want to say this, Coach Matt. I certainly appreciate your time. It has been, just sitting here listening to, a legendary coach that has achieved, that has, coached outstanding, young men in the life that you've led, and just like Jacob said, you've been a pastor, you've been a mentor, and it has just been absolutely fantastic. Just to sit here and hear your story, your testimony. And I just want to thank you as a former coach for everything that you've done to these young men. And like you said, you go down to your shop and you just reflect. And again, I certainly appreciate your time. This has been, it's been very, very motivational for me. And I just wish you continued success. Iconic.
Thank you. Thank all of you.
Jacob, you got anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
Hey, Coach, I just want to know, when are you writing the book?
Oh no, I can't write a book.
Oh man, I mean, with what you've done, in a third career, I think it would be very motivational to people and to coaches. But so you might have a book in you or two. So just let me know when you publish it.
Yeah. The good Lord's blessed me. That's all I can tell you.
He need to write a book just to call it 93, because whatever happened in 93 was a heck of a year.
Yeah.
Well, Coach, I appreciate you coming on, giving us your time in this crazy weather that we're going through across the country. And, God bless everybody. And because I was in it from Tennessee to Texas all last week. So I'm just glad I'm home right now, thawing out over the last couple of days or whatever, and get some time away off that road. But I appreciate you for coming on and giving us your time, Coach, and much success to you and whenever your future endeavors outside of the football world. So I do appreciate you coming on.
Well, thank y'all for having me. It's nice talking to y'all.
You
Absolutely.
too.
God bless
All
you.
right.
Okay.
All right.
Have a good
Everybody
night.
have a blessed and wonderful night.
All right. Thanks, guys.
But